Hey, are you thinking about moving to Alpine, California, but you are not sure if it's going to be a good fit for you and your family? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all the pros and cons of living in Alpine, California and raising your family in Alpine, California. I actually grew up in Los Angeles in the big city, and I moved to San Diego when I was in my mid-20s. I lived in the beach communities for years. And in 2021 or 2020, when the world shut down and half of California was ready to get out, we didn't have the option of leaving California or San Diego because our businesses were here. But the next best thing for us at the time was moving to Alpine. So I'm going to share with you everything we experienced, all the good, all the bad, the things we missed as city people and the things we absolutely loved as a family who was looking for more space and serenity and freedom. And we're going to get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in Alpine, California and the surrounding San Diego suburbs, well, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so that you could be first to know about any market updates here in San Diego. Hey, I'm Emily Benito. I'm a local real estate agent and a mom, and my passion is helping families just like you move to San Diego, and I just love it. So whether you're thinking about moving in 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me a message. Let's just jump on a Zoom so I can learn more about you and your family and your lifestyle and help you make a smooth move to San Diego too. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, so I know what it's like to live in LA. I moved down to San Diego about 20 years ago for a slower pace of life and the beach life, really. And eventually I got married and had kids. And as our family evolved in the seasons of our lives, we went from living right in the beach, right in the heart of Mission Beach, like right on the bay. Then we moved further east to Claremont and we were in the suburbs. And come 2021, we were just tired of living close to the city and congestion and a small house in a small 6,000 square foot lot. My kids were getting bigger. They were no longer toddlers. I wanted a big backyard where they could go out and run around. I was sick of putting my kids in the car to go to a park or the bay or the beach, although it was amazing because everything was just 10, 15 minutes away. I really started yearning for a home where we could just go play right in our backyard. We had a pool, we had space, maybe even acreage. And I definitely wanted a bigger house. I was ready for a proper home office. The kids needed their own bedrooms. We needed an extra bathroom. So we ended up in Alpine. And in this video, I'm going to share with you all the pros and cons of living in Alpine so that you can decide if Alpine may be a good fit for you and your family. All right, let's start with the pros of living in Alpine. Number one on the list is real estate. You get a lot more for your money here in Alpine. So the homes average here between 800 and 2 million. So I know that's a huge range, but you can get into a beautiful home for about 1.2 million. And when I say beautiful home, I'm talking the 2,500 square foot house, updated, beautiful views on an acre with a pool, maybe with a view of the mountains for about 1.2, 1.3 million. And in the city, obviously 1.2, 1.3 million is gonna get you a really cute 1,500 square foot house. Close to the beach, close to the city, which is great if you're like me and we were having a growing family and I just needed my kids to have more space and I needed some serenity in my life. A large home on a large lot with lots of privacy so they can be loud and I don't have to worry about pissing off my neighbors. That was huge for me. So what you get out here, not just in price, but also size was a huge bonus for me. I also want to talk about all the different types of neighborhoods that are in Alpine because that's something that I wasn't aware of before we moved out here. So the first area I'm going to share about is Crown Hills. Crown Hills is actually an HOA community. It's a planned development. The homes range from anywhere from 1,000 square feet to about 1,600 square feet, and they're on like 3,000 square foot lots, 3,000 to 4,000 square foot lots. So the homes are smaller for Alpine standards, and they're very close together. But it is so beautiful. It is so well manicured. It always reminds me of our resort that we go visit in Cabo. It's built on the mountainsides in Alpine. It's very manicured. It has the HOA amenities. It has a community pool, which is super fun. Everyone goes there. All the kids play together. So it's great if you have a family. It's got a huge hot tub. and tennis courts and parks and walking trails all throughout the community that have epic views of Alpine and the mountains and looking all the way out to the ocean. So that community is called Crown Hills. So if you're looking for something that's more developed and you don't want to move to the country, but you don't want to have a house that's rural, Crown Hills is great. You're not going to have to deal with any kind of large maintenance of a large property. Everything's well taken care of for you. And there's obviously a huge sense of community. Crown Hills, fun fact, a lot of Alpine is rural, so it's kind of hard to go trick-or-treating when homes are 2-3 acres apart. But in Crown Hills, it's one of the most famous spots in all of Alpine to go trick-or-treating. So that's actually where everyone gathers. The police come, they close off the streets so the kids can walk safely throughout the community, and everyone just decorates the homes to the nine. It's epic. It's like Universal Studios epic, the decorations they use. So that's Crown Hills. So the next neighborhood I want to talk to you about as far as real estate goes is Deer Creek. Deer Creek community is on the western side of Alpine. So just as you get in before you hit the actual town. And it is a community that's also a subdivision. The homes were all built by a developer. They were built in the 80s and 90s, so it does have that like 90s vibe feel, but it's very well maintained. The homes are on half an acre to an acre. The homes average square foot is about 2,000 to 3,000 square feet, vaulted ceilings, really nice Mediterranean style homes. It's very close to the elementary school there and a field where they do all the baseball and t-ball. So it's really family friendly. And it always reminded me of like the neighborhoods in E.T. Like I'm dating myself, but in the movie E.T., when all the kids, like all the homes kind of look the same in the neighborhood and the kids would like jump on their BMXs and like ride around. That's what Deer Creek reminds me of. And it's something that I really wanted for my family, just have that like wholesome old fashioned neighborhood where kids can like walk to their friend's house or ride a bike, because growing up in LA, it's not something that it's very safe to do. And even in San Diego now, but there's not a lot of places in San Diego I would trust my kids being doing that. And in Alpine, in the Deer Creek community, it feels very safe. It's also beautiful. It's in the flat, surrounded by these gorgeous, majestic mountains and huge boulders. So that's the Deer Creek community. So if you're looking to be rural, but you want to be in a proper neighborhood where you have neighbors and community, but you want a larger lot. So Crown Hills was the smaller homes and the smaller lots. You're looking for something larger, then you want to check out Deer Creek. The next neighborhood I'm going to talk about is the Old Ranch. The Old Ranch is where homes were developed way back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. They're all custom homes. The lots were sold at a minimum 2 acres. So that was a requirement in the ranch, is the homes could not be on smaller than 2 acres. That's just how they wanted the development to be in Alpine. So you get a lot of land. What makes the Old Ranch really distinctive is the large lots, all the custom homes. And because it's an older community that's been around for a long time, it has a lot of mature trees and it's very green. And it reminds me more of something you'd find in Central California just because of the vegetation. It's just thick and foresty, very different from other parts of Alpine that can feel like the high desert where it's just boulders and not a lot of green at all. You'll find, random tree or a cactus or succulents, but in the Old Ranch, you're going to find lots and lots of old, beautiful trees and vegetation. So it's gorgeous for that. Because they're all custom homes, you're going to have some dilapidated old homes that haven't been maintained for a while, and you're going to have some beautiful, gorgeous, custom, beautiful architecture, ranch style homes, and then everything in between. So homes in the ranch can range from 1 million to 5 million. So if you are looking to rural, feeling like you're up in the mountains, then definitely check out the Old Ranch. All right, P.S. When I'm referring to the Old Ranch, the accurate name for the community is actually called Rancho Palo Verde. And so there's Rancho Palo Verde, the Old Ranch, and then there's the New Ranch, which is also part of Rancho Palo Verde. The New Ranch is the gated community right next to the Old Ranch. It's the same. It's a minimum 2-acre lots. They're all custom homes. But in the New Ranch, it is just more elevated. It is the bougie, if you will, because the streets are really maintained. It's a gated community with a guard at the front allowing you in. Part of the amenities with the HOA at the New Ranch is there's a private lake that only people in the ranch have access to, and you do have access if you live in the old ranch to that private lake. But the private lake you can use for boating, fishing, swimming, paddle boarding. There's a small little beach that's around the lake. And it's private and exclusive to the residents that live at the ranch. So that's pretty epic. There's also a horse stall, so you can actually keep your horses in the new ranch area. That's a whole section. So if you have horses and you want something that's a little bit more exclusive, but you don't want the horses, let's say, on your own property, then new ranch is something definitely to be considered. Along with the beautifully manicured roads and curb appeal throughout the ranch. I love driving through there. There's also miles and miles of horse trails. There's tennis courts and pickleball courts. So it's a very, it's the affluent part of Alpine. So you're still getting all the benefits of living out in the country as far as acreage and privacy goes. But it is definitely more elevated and sophisticated when it comes to the feel and the vibe and the lifestyle within the new ranch. All right, the last neighborhood I want to talk to you about is Victoria. And Victoria is up on the mountain really high. So the homes have the most epic views. They also come with 1/2 acre to 2 acre lots on average. A lot of the homes were built in the 80s and 90s. There's obviously older homes and there are newer homes, but the majority of the homes in Victoria are all custom homes. So they all have a different look and feel. Some are definitely more luxurious and high-end and sophisticated and have a Mediterranean feel with a beautiful landscaped property and pool and waterfalls and all the bells and whistles, while other homes definitely have just more of a country feel that may have some goats walking around and some chickens, and that's just kind of Alpine, which I find amazing and charming because you can have it all within a couple of miles. So Victoria definitely has a high desert vibe, boulders and mountains, and like you're in the desert with an epic view. Sometimes you can see all the way out to the ocean depending on where the home is. So you really do have your choice of type of home, type of vibe, and type of neighborhood you want to be in Alpine. Even though Alpine is a very small town, a population of about just under 15,000, but you have very different type neighborhoods and homes and lifestyles all within Alpine. So my favorite thing about Alpine is the real estate. All right, number 2 on the list is my favorite things of Alpine is got to be the lifestyle. The lifestyle here is a slower pace. It's got that small town vibe. It almost feels like you have transported yourself from San Diego to a small town in the Midwest or maybe somewhere in Texas. It's majority of Alpine is small businesses. There's not a lot of chains here. I think there's 5 chain restaurants. I can count them on one hand, like Carl's Jr., Jack in the Box is moving in, and there's a huge stink about it within the community. They just don't want these chain restaurants. They like the small business mom pop restaurants. So it definitely has that really small old town charm to it, and the vibe and the energy matches it. So if you are looking to slow down and get some peace in your life and away from the rat race, but you still are not able to leave the rat race altogether and move out of state, then Alpine is for sure a town to consider. All right, number 3 on the list is the weather. I absolutely love that you have blue skies the majority of the time in Alpine. Coming from the coast where you have a lot of overcast most mornings and you have to wait for it to burn off midday, moving to Alpine, first thing in the morning, you open your doors and all the overcast is beneath you because you were so high up in the mountains, you were quite literally above the clouds and above the overcast. So we could walk out the door and look over our view, and you'll see the layer of overcast this way, but straight ahead and above is beautiful blue skies, warm, sunny days. So that was one of my favorite things when we first moved to Alpine. Number 4 on the list is nature. We are surrounded by nature out in Alpine. We are surrounded by mountains and boulders and trees and grass and cactuses and animals. There are bunnies running through your neighborhood here, which I was mind blown when I first moved out here. But there are bunnies, and we have hawks, and we have deer crossings and all kinds of stuff. So you have left the city. There's a bumper sticker I saw when I first moved out here on the back of a car, and it nailed it. And it said Alpine ... just far enough. And it's true because you are so close to San Diego, is one of the largest cities in the country, and we are just 30 miles from San Diego, 30-minute drive, 30 minutes to the beach, but feels like we have left California. So it's serene, it's peaceful, it's green. There's way less development here. There's an ordinance here, like a low light ordinance. So when you're driving around at night in Alpine, if you don't know where you're going, it's impossible to find your way around because there are no street lights. It's crazy. I had to get used to it when I first moved out here, but it's beautiful because they don't want light pollution that affects the sky, the night sky, and the stars. So there was a shopping center that was put in, 10 plus years ago before I moved out here. And the community was really against it because it was going to be a big shopping center with an Albertsons and a bank and a Subway, and they didn't want a big shopping center. Well, the shopping center came in, but they had a regulation where the lights had to be in the shopping center, had to be really dim. So when the lamps in the parking lot were on, they didn't affect the community's light pollution. So it's something that is valued a lot here in Alpine, and the community is very protective of the natural environment and trying to keep it intact. So if you value that, if that is something you were seeking and you want more in life, we were wanting more of that in our life. And we found it here in Alpine. I should have actually made number one pro nature, because that is actually what makes it so epic here in Alpine is the nature. And number two, amount of house you can get out here. All right, last but not least, number 5 is the lifestyle and the vibe out here. So I touched on it a little bit with the lifestyle earlier, but you really have a very quaint community here. There are very little chain restaurants. There's about 4 or 5 fast food drive-thrus, but all the restaurants, the actual restaurants, sit-down restaurants, are all local small business restaurants. You're not going to find a Denny's or an Applebee's out here or a Chili's. It's all great family-friendly community small business restaurants here. The same goes for the coffee shops. We have one Starbucks, but all the other ones are local coffee shops. I love the Well Cafe. It's my favorite. The same goes for like the gyms. Like there's no big box gym here. There's no 24-hour fitness. This is all going to go with the cons too, because sometimes these things are really convenient to have, but they're not here in Alpine. So you just get on the freeway and you go do your thing, you come back. But there's a couple of small gyms here that also offer like yoga. Lifestyle here just feels very easy, very quaint, very charming. And the other thing to note is that everyone here really appreciates their freedoms. And so one of the big draws to this area during the pandemic was those families that were seeking more freedom throughout the whole lockdown. A lot of people gravitated towards Alpine and East County because you still could find that here, where if you weren't able to leave California or weren't ready to leave California or don't even want to leave California, you just don't want to be in the thick of all of the chaos, a lot of families moved to Alpine. That is when Alpine became very popular and the home values skyrocketed because it's the same as what they were doing in New York. When New York shut down during the pandemic, a lot of people relocated to upstate New York, out towards the country. And to me, that's kind of what San Diego did. They moved out to Ramona and to Alpine and all the way out to Fallbrook. These areas became way more attractive, especially if you were working from home and you could be away from the chaos. So number 5 on the list is the charm and the quaintness and the wholesomeness of this town. Raising my family here in the wholesomeness of this town is just priceless to me. So let's talk about the cons. Number 1 con for me for Alpine has got to be the commuting. So if you have to commute to work, you are going to sit in some heavy traffic during rush hour times in the mornings and in the evenings. It's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour to get to and from where you're going. And that the rush hours are going to be between 7:30 and 9 and in the morning, and in the afternoon, your rush hour is going to start about 4 p.m. So if you're getting on the road at 4 p.m. to head east from the city, it's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour to get home. So that is one of the things that stinks about being out here. Unless you can work nearby or you work from home or from anywhere, you're not tied to a location for business or work. But if you are commuting, definitely check out those commute times to make sure that it's going to be okay with you. Number 2 on the list is employment. So Alpine is a small town, like I said, and with that comes not a lot of business happening. It's all small businesses, local businesses. So if you are wanting to be near a business center or, a business park or somewhere where there's a lot of industry, well, Alpine is not going to be for you because you are going to be, like, number 1, in traffic commuting, probably to and from work. Number 3 on the list of cons is amenities. Being a small town and having the small town vibes, along with that comes lack of amenities. So if you're someone like me who's used to living in the city where everything is accessible and close by, from your choice of yoga studios to nail salons to restaurants to bars, you are gonna be sad because it is not like that in Alpine. It was a little bit getting used to for me. The pros way outweighed the cons, but it is definitely something that if you are used to being able to just have a huge selection of places to go for dinner at nighttime or want to grab a drink at a bar, it ain't happening in Alpine. You have a handful of restaurants to choose from, so we find ourselves going to the same favorite ones over and over again, which is okay. It's our new way of life, but that's kind of like the small town vibes where you see the same people and you're going to the same restaurants, and not all of them are even open 7 days a week. And so is a little bit of an adjustment. Things like if you were looking for a yoga studio that has yoga classes all throughout the day, you're not going to find that kind of stuff in Alpine. You're going to have, yogas on Monday nights at this gym. That's the kind of town it is. So the amenities can definitely be an adjustment if you are someone like me who is used to living in the city, again, that you have everything at your disposal at any time. You're going to have an adjustment there with Alpine with that. All right, number 5 on the list is the heat. In Alpine, in the summertime, it gets hot. It is not unheard of to see 100-degree days, multiple days of the summer. So you need a pool and you need solar on your home because you are going to be running your AC all day, every day in the summer. Like, you just have to. It is hot. Now, with the heat, we also are in a high fire zone. So that is something to be mindful of. I've never lived in a higher fire zone. So in Alpine, your homeowners insurance premiums are a little bit higher. There are actually some areas that are even uninsurable that are extra rural, but we are in a fire zone. There have been fires that have come through here over the years. So it's something to be mindful of. It's not something that scared us away or kept us from moving out here because it's not like it happens every summer. I've lived in LA and there's fires in Topanga Canyon like every summer, and in Malibu. So that was like an every summer thing. Where here in Alpine, they've definitely had some major fires, but they happen. They are not guaranteed every summer like they are in some areas of California. So, but it is a high fire zone. So make sure to account for that when you're searching for homes here and taking into account what your homeowner's insurance is going to be like. So number 5 on the list is you are moving to a high fire zone. So there you have it. Those are my pros and cons of Alpine, California. So if you're interested in more information about Alpine or making your move here, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me a message, or better yet, let's just jump on a Zoom so I can learn more about you, your family, and help you make a smooth move to San Diego too.